Happy Friday to everyone, and thank God it's Friday to me. You all, let's take this onion and make an onion ring. I'm going to show you all how I make my homemade onion rings. And in the background today, you all, I'm making a savory and tangy roast, and that video will be linked to this one. Anyway, to do these onion rings, the first thing we need to do is we need to cut the onions. And you all can cut your onions as thick as you like them or as thin as you like them. And I'm not cooking a whole lot. And so the next thing you want to do when you're making your onion rings is you want to push this middle section out. You don't want to fry that. Now I have a bag to the side that I am throwing them in. And then you're just going to push your onion rings out. Your onion rings, you're going to push them out like that. Okay, we're going to do the same thing to this one. We're going to push this middle out. And no worries, you guys, I wash my hands. Okay, so I'm going to cut up a few more. Okay. See what that does. And you know, once we're done cutting them up, the next thing you have to do is just season your flour and your milk and bread them. And you all, normally I would use an egg with this recipe, but because eggs are so expensive right now, I want to try it and see what happens if we don't use an egg. Okay, I'm going to cut one more piece of onion. And then that should be enough onion rings for me. And try not to cut your onion crooked like I did mine. And also try not to cut yourself. Okay. Hold on, I'm not sure. There we go. Okay. That's the last one that I'm going to cut. And if they break up, it's okay. They'll still fry. So, I'm going to pull that off. Remember, push the middle part out. Okay, it's easier if you turn the onion upside down and push it out. Now, just gonna push out these rings and we will be done. I don't know why, for some reason, this one, okay, so is not trying to come out. Okay, there we go. Uh-oh. All right. Okay, you all, I'm going to go and get my next plate so that I'll have a plate to sit these on once I roll them in the flour and then roll them in the milk. Ooh, you all, I am crying, but you can't see it. Okay, this is the last onion. So I'll be right back when I get my dredging station together. I'm back, you all. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to season my flour with garlic powder. I'm going to put a little bit in the milk as well. I'm going to season the flour with salt. So we're just going to use a little bit of salt in there. We're only going to use 3 seasonings for these onion rings. Salt, pepper, and garlic powder. And now here's the pepper. And a little pepper in here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to stir this around so that we make sure that all the seasonings are spread around. Now I'm going to do the same thing with this milk. And you all, what you didn't see is I added a little bit of vinegar since we're not using eggs. Supposedly vinegar is supposed to help them to stick. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put it in the milk. We're going to put it in the flour. We're going to put it back in the milk. And then we're going to put it back in the flour. And this is what you end up with. Now I'm going to sit it on a plate to the side. Now you all, the secret to these onion rings is going to be that we're going to put them in the freezer for 15 to 30 minutes before we fry them. And you all, I'm just going to show you a couple of these that I do. And I'll go off camera and finish the process. And like I said, we're not using eggs, so this is an experiment as well to see how it does without the egg. All right, this is what my next one is looking like. Okay, I'm going to do one more for you. I'm going to take it, I'm going to dip it in the milk. We're going to dip it in the flour. Coating all sides. Then we're going to dip it back in the milk. And then we're going to dip it back in the flour. Okay, you all, I'll be back to show you what these onion rings are looking like before I put them in the freezer. And this is what this one is looking like. Okay, I'll be back when I'm done with this process. All right, you all, these are what the finished battered onion rings are looking like. Now, the next thing I have to do is stick them in the freezer, and I'll put them in the freezer for 15 to 30 minutes. I'll let you all know how long I kept it in there when I come back. All right, the oil has gotten hot. This is what my onion rings are looking like now that they're out the freezer. I left them in the freezer for 34 minutes. Okay, and I have a potato in the oil so that it can keep the oil from turning brown while these onion rings are frying. So we're going to go ahead and start with the first one. And I think we need to let that oil get just a little bit hotter. I'll be back, you all, when this oil gets as hot as it needs to be. All right, let's go ahead and drop the rest of these. All right, and what we're going to do is let, excuse me, is let these cook until they're brown on the bottom, and then we'll flip them over. What I'm going to do is let these go ahead and cook, and I'll come back when it's time to turn them over so you can see what that process looks like. All right, you all, they're frying right along. I'll be back when it's time to turn them. All right, let's go ahead and turn these over. Okay, and you all, I have a pan back here so that I can just stick the onion rings on it and let them drain when it's time to pull them out. And I put them in the freezer with the hopes of being able to keep the coating on the onion rings better. So we shall see what we lose. I see on the first onion ring I lost a little bit. The rest of them are looking okay. All right, you all, I'll be back when it's time to take these onion rings out. I wanted to bring you all down in the frying pan so you can see what these onion rings are looking like while they're frying. have placed in another batch of onion rings. As you can see in the back, I do have some that are already done. And remember, you all will frying them until you see they're golden brown on the bottom and you start turning them. But this one has been in a little longer than the other one. What I'll do is let you all watch me do this one. And like I say in onion rings, when it comes to the coating, sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start turning these. I'm going to move this potato over. Well, feels like it's stuck. Okay, we're going to go ahead and turn this one. Okay, you all, I'll be back when it's time to take these out. All right, let's get ready to take some out and turn some over. I think I could go ahead and take these onion rings out back here. I'm going to let this one take a second. Let's go ahead and turn these over. We're going to go ahead and pull this one out. Turn that one over. All right, you all, these are looking pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and pull this one out. All right, I'll be back when it's time to eat. All right, you all, these are my finished onion rings. Now, I'll be back to show you my finished plate and to give the first bite to you. These are my finished homemade onion rings. And you all, normally I would make some homemade sauce, but there's sauces in the house, so you all, you can use whatever kind of sauce you like. Here I have some Buffalo Wild Wings spicy garlic, some Buffalo Wild Wing Parmesan garlic. But you all, for me, I'm just going to eat these plain. So I'll be right back to give the first bite to you. Alright, so let's taste these onion rings together. But first, let me give the first bite to you. Alright, let's taste it. Yeah, those are good. For me, they don't need any kind of sauce or anything like that. It's just enough seasoning and just enough flavor. That is real good. And you can taste the coating. It's stuck to it pretty well. Can y'all see? Alright, you all. Thank you so much for coming along with me to make these homemade onion rings. And onion rings is also a dish that you can make that doesn't cost a lot. All you need in your house is an onion and some flour. And y'all see, even without the egg, the batter still stuck to the onion rings. Okay, let me take you all down to see my plate. Anyway, I hope you all have a most wonderful weekend and have a most wonderful meal. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe.